This is the Allen Memorial Institute, one of the most prestigious psychiatric hospitals in North America, and probably one of the most horrifying. On the day of August 19th, 1957, a man entered its gates seeking relief from an agonizing pain. At first, his doctors promised a cure, but their true intentions would lead to one of the most chilling and unethical human experiments in modern history. This is the disturbing true story of how Charles Tanny became a lab rat for the CIA. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Charles Tanny lived in Montreal, Canada. He was a respected businessman who owned several properties in the city. But one day, everything changed. Charles started getting severe facial pain. The pain became so intense that he couldn't eat or sleep. His condition was called the suicide disease. Trigeminal neuralgia drove patients into a living nightmare, where many preferred death over living with it. Back then, doctors believed this pain was psychological. Charles's doctor wrote possible mental cause in his file and referred him to a psychiatrist, Dr. Robert Cleghorn. Desperate for a solution, Charles walked through the gates of Allen Memorial Institute, one of the most prestigious psychiatric hospitals in North America. Dr. Cleghorn worked under Dr. Ewan Cameron, one of the most respected psychiatrists in the world, who had even judged Nazi doctors for their war crimes. Shockingly, Cameron was conducting the same experiments he had condemned others for. Charles became a test subject in Subproject 68, part of the larger CIA program called MKULTRA. The CIA was funding Cameron to perfect the same disturbing mind control techniques the Nazis had started in concentration camps. Cameron's goal was simple: delete Charles's entire identity. Every memory, every emotion, everything that made him human. Cameron's process began with sleep treatment. August 20th, 1957, a nurse entered Charles's room and injected him with insulin. Charles wasn't diabetic. Within minutes, he lost consciousness. The drugs kept Charles in a confused, nightmarish state. He couldn't form coherent thoughts. These horrifying treatments continued for weeks, days at a time in drug-induced comas. Cameron began phase 2 of mind removal, the electroshock therapy. Cameron had designed his own electroshock machine called the Page Russell. Cameron's machine was 75 times more powerful than normal therapeutic levels. The voltage was so intense it could cause permanent brain damage. Cameron knew this and wanted this. Charles suffered painful electroshock treatments daily. He was tortured every day for over 6 weeks. Cameron even wrote in his notes, "Wipe out the brain." Other patients in the ward could hear the terrifying sounds of the so-called treatments, just like lab rats. Memories faded, personality dissolved. Charles was vanishing. Cameron tested Charles's responses daily. He showed him photographs, asked him questions about his past. By week 6, brain scans showed severe damage to Charles's memory and personality centers. The brain areas controlling personality were destroyed. Charles's existing mind was erased. Cameron began the excruciating phase 2 of the grisly experiment. The goal: total mind replacement. A tape recorder was placed under Charles's pillow, with 2 speakers positioned 6 inches from his ears. The recorder ran continuously for weeks. The tape repeated clips of things Charles had said during his interviews, children laughing, and even his mother's voice. The sound played every 3.7 seconds, 16 repetitions per minute, 960 repetitions per hour. Cameron believed 500,000 repetitions were needed for complete personality reconstruction. Charles remained unconscious throughout this nightmare. His damaged brain was bombarded with his own voice. The volume was set just below the threshold of pain, yet loud enough to penetrate Charles's unconscious mind. Cameron called this disturbing technique psychic driving. He believed it could implant new thoughts and behaviors. 23 excruciating days later, Charles's mind was completely erased. Cameron wrote in his notes, "Previous personality structures appear completely eliminated." October 24th, 1957. Charles began to regain consciousness after 10 weeks of brutal treatment. The man who woke up was not the same person who had entered the hospital. Cameron ran tests on Charles, showing him photographs of his children. Charles showed no recognition. He showed Charles pictures of his wife. Nothing. Charles could walk, talk, and perform basic tasks. He responded to his own name. But Charles wasn't completely erased. He had vague memories of his previous life and family. Cameron wrote in Charles's file, "Patient still has ties to his former life." The experiment was failing, and Cameron had one solution in his mind: push Charles deeper into hell. More electricity, higher voltage, more drugs, deeper comas. The horrifying destruction of Charles Tanny continued for several more weeks. Cameron tested different combinations of drugs. He increased the voltage to 175. He extended the psychic driving sessions. Cameron wanted complete control over Charles's mind, and he was willing to brute force it. He wanted to erase every trace of the man Charles used to be. The gruesome experiments continued until Cameron was satisfied that Charles's original personality was gone. November 18th, 1957. Charles was discharged from Allen Memorial Institute. He endured 92 days of torture. His wife and children waited in the lobby, hopeful Charles had been treated from his facial pain. But the reality was worse than anything they could imagine. The little girl ran toward her father, shouting, "Daddy!" Charles looked at her like she was a stranger on the street. He asked his wife, "Who is this child?" His wife's name was Marie. Charles didn't remember her either. The man who returned home looked like Charles Tanny. Same height, same weight, same face. Everything else had been erased and replaced. Medical records documented the extent of the damage. Complete memory loss for personal history. No recognition of family members. Personality completely altered. Frequent violent outbursts. Required assistance with basic daily functions. The memories were gone. The old life forgotten. The man who returned could no longer feel love. The family was destroyed. Charles spent his final years in a care facility in Montreal. He never regained his memory or personality. May 6th, 1992. Charles died at age 71. He had lived for 35 years as a stranger to his own family. MKULTRA officially ended in 1973. CIA Director Richard Helms ordered all files destroyed. Most of the evidence was burned, so the full extent of the horrid experiments will never be known. Dr. Cameron died in 1967. He never faced justice. The Canadian government found 77 patients had been subjected to Cameron's experiments. Each victim received $100,000, but no admission of wrongdoing was made. The CIA never apologized. They claimed they had no knowledge of what Cameron was doing. Internal documents proved the CIA knew exactly what was happening.